Welcome to God's Table Talk, where real-life stories and testimonies of faith are brought to the table. And now, here's your host, Paul Eck.
Right now on God's Table Talk, we're talking with Jycee Smith. She's a teenager from Kentucky. Jycee, thanks for joining us on God's Table Talk.
Thank you for having me.
We don't get a lot of teenagers on here. Give us a little, I know you live in Kentucky, but you live with your grandma. Give us a little background on how that all came about.
Well, I started living with my grandma when I was 7 months old. My mom and dad had a pretty bad fight, and so I just kind of came here to live with her. And I've been here ever since. She's kind of stuck with me.
Is grandma influential in your life?
Oh yeah, she's the reason that I found God.
Oh, okay. So she's the one that took you to church and that sort of thing.
Well, we never really went to church. My dad was always taking me to church when he did go, but she taught me a lot of stuff.
Like
she just taught me the gospel, the basic stuff that I needed to know to grow, and then I kind of just took it from there.
Okay. All right. So, how long have you been? When did you go to the cross? I guess would be the better way of saying it.
It was in 2015 when I actually became a Christian. So 6 years ago.
Okay. So what, was there something going on that got you to go there?
Well, there was an incident where I thought I was going in and out of sleep and I heard a voice, say, come home. Which I don't know if I was just dreaming or what that was, but I was like, it's time. So about a year or two later, I got baptized.
So was there stuff going on in your teenage life that you were dealing with that you think God was talking to you to come on home?
Oh yeah. In sixth grade or in middle school, I became a pretty bad person. I didn't really care if I went to hell or not, as long as my friends were there, which was a really dumb look on things. But I did some pretty bad stuff, and I was actually watching the Bible on Netflix one night, and I kind of just broke down because I knew. So.
Wow. Not often that Netflix gets credit for getting somebody to turn towards the cross.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, what if you have a grandma who's influential? Can I ask what you were doing that was bad in sixth grade? I mean, I did some bad things in sixth grade, but nothing I can think of that would be that bad.
Well, bad in my eyes. I got in a fight 2 times in one day. I was cussing a lot. I didn't really know if I was straight or not. And so that was something really big. But then I found myself and, I repented and all that good stuff.
Were you bullied?
Not really bullied, but I was picked on.
Yeah. That's a tough thing. I know that having daughters myself, one's 21 who's gone through high school already, obviously, and one's 15 is just starting high school. It can be a tough time it's a tough time for boys or girls, but I think girls have it even tougher because they can be a little bit more mean to each other, I think.
Yeah.
Now, so what things has changed about you since you got baptized in 2015?
Well, at first, nothing really changed. I stopped doing some stuff like cussing and stuff, but I would always slip up. But a few years back was when it kind of took a turn. I was actually diagnosed with OCD, and the OCD that I have is spiritual OCD or religious OCD. So it kind of kicked in full force, and I went through a really dark time. And ever since then, I've kind of just changed a lot. So I've been following God way better than what I was. I've been studying the Bible. I've actually read the New Testament a few times. I'm actually working on the Old Testament at the moment. But yeah, it was really intense.
All right. Now, wait a minute. I have never heard of spiritual OCD. What does that mean?
Basically, I think they first seen it in monks in I don't know, the 1800s maybe. It's where you obsess over your religion. So OCD tends to attack what you like, what's the most important thing to you. Where mine's religion, it attacked that. So it kind of just makes me pray a lot, obsessively, It gives bad thoughts that you don't want to have, and that's obsessive. So when I didn't know what this was, it was like I'm doomed. So it was a really, really tough time.
So is it something you can get over, or is it something you always have?
I don't really know if you can really get over it. I know you can go to therapy for it and, get better, but I mean, it's an everyday thing.
Okay. So give me an example, like I'm not sure. What kind of things cause what kind of things do you, I know you said you pray a lot. What other things are you talking about?
Well, I mean, there's intrusive thoughts, which usually come with OCD, and those are bad thoughts that you don't want. And then there was a point in time where I thought like everything was sin, and it was just like no escape from that. But I'm out of that stage.
Okay. So, what did you do to get out of that stage?
I pushed through it. Like, even if I thought it was a sin, I knew it was my OCD and I went with it. I did it anyways, because logically it was not sinful. Like, this is really, really dumb, but I thought eating at Little Caesars was a sin.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're actually overthinking and why would I've had Little Caesars? I had Little Caesars yesterday. Why is Little Caesars a sin?
Because the way my brain took it, was the logo, the Caesars. Yeah. Like the
because
Caesar guy.
Obviously when Jesus was crucified, Caesar was in power. Okay. I understand. Yep. Wow. Like I said, I've never heard of that before. That's interesting. I did not realize. I know people have OCD, but I didn't realize you could have spiritual OCD.
Yeah, there are a lot of OCD branches. Like, there are tons. It's really, most people think it's like a cleaning thing, and I was really stereotypical before I got diagnosed with it, but it's way more than that.
So I'm trying to figure out, how did you get, or what caused you to go and get diagnosed by it? Was it the stuff where you're like, wait a minute, I'm stressing over things, or I'm obsessive compulsive over things that don't make any sense to me? Is that what it was?
It was kind of like that. I was in 9th grade when it started happening. And I had my first panic attack in the school's restroom. So we decided to go to the doctor, and they sent me to a therapist, and I told her my symptoms and stuff. And then that's how I got diagnosed with OCD.
Do you think is it possibly an attack from Satan because you are a believer?
I wouldn't say it's like a full-on attack. I do think he takes advantage of it because he knows that I'm, sick with it. So he does try to work his way in there a lot. But I don't think OCD itself that I have is an attack from Satan.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, never heard that before. What things, I know you're getting ready, when you graduate, you're going to go on to college. What are you planning on doing in college? Is it going to be a God type thing, or what are you going to do?
I'm actually going into pre-veterinarian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Taking care of God's animals. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What's the attraction to taking care of animals?
Animals have always been like a comfort type thing, and I like taking care of them. I actually have reptiles and amphibian and fish and stuff in my room right now. So like I really have like a lot of pleasure in taking care of them, and giving them love that in certain circumstances they would never have.
Okay, what kind of reptiles? Yeah. I gotta ask.
I have a bearded dragon. I have 2 chameleons. One I think is actually pregnant. Yeah, and I have 2 leopard geckos.
Okay, so you like the little 4-legged non-snake type animals, huh?
I actually love snakes, but I can't have one right now.
Oh.
Yeah. My grandma is terrified of them.
Okay, yeah, and you're in grandma's house. You got to do what grandma says, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what things do you do to strengthen your walk here? Because it's got to be tough being a teenager. That's where a lot of people fall away.
Yeah. Well, I go to church. I read my Bible and I pray. I think praying is what's kept me going pretty much. God has helped me with so much, and people tend to forget that, he's there and he helps, but I've seen his hand throughout my life, and I should have been dead a few times. And so that's something I look at.
Okay, wait a minute. I can't let you go past that. You should have been dead a few times. You want to give me an example? I mean, if you want to, I don't want to put you in the spot of having to tell me something that's traumatic, but you want to give me an example?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, when my mom was doing drugs and stuff, she was actually driving, and I was asleep in the back seat, and she was falling asleep while she was driving. So that could have ended really dangerously. My grandma told her to pull off the road and she would find us. And, there was also circumstances where I was left alone with my mom's guy friends, because she had fallen asleep or passed out from whatever she was doing. So something could have, really bad happened.
That's definitely God protecting. That's for certain. Do you have a fear of following in your mom's footsteps? There's a thing called a generational curse. Does that concern you?
No, not really.
Okay. Because I know it's obviously it's a danger for a lot of people. I know your dad does a lot of stuff with bands and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Do you and your dad talk about your beliefs?
Well, we have a different belief. We believe in God, we're both Christians, but I am a Church of Christ. So like non-denominational. So I don't really believe in, Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal. He believes in all of that stuff. So we kind of like butt heads on a lot of things. So, yeah.
So what are your big fears as you go on to college with your Christian beliefs? There's an awful lot of stuff out there where it's frowned upon to talk about that stuff at college.
Yeah. Well, I haven't really thought about that yet. I mean, of course, talking to new people and then, talking to them about God, that's always kind of a fear. But I mean, it's something that I do, and you have to push through it.
Okay. So then, what are your visions I usually ask people in their interview, I say, when you were 18, you envisioned this, and now you're, in your 40s or 50s, and now you are what you are. So you're 18 years old. What's your vision of where you will be 30, 40 years from now?
Oh dear. I'm hoping that I will be a vet. Things might change. I don't know. But I mean, I do want to be married and have like a kid or two, but I don't know if I want to stay in Kentucky. I'm more of like, I kind of want to go to Florida or like the Caribbean. But
okay, yeah, what's the draw there?
I actually met a veterinarian at Tractor Supply that did her vet school in the Caribbean, and I'm guessing there's like a lot of exotic animals down there. So that's something that pulls me closer to that.
Are you open to where God's going to take you?
Yeah, I've also thought about doing like missions and stuff. So there's that.
Okay. Yeah, you're at the beginning of your adult life, so you've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah. So do you have a specific verse that you go to since you have spiritual OCD? Is there a specific verse or chapter or book that you go to in the Bible when that starts to kick in?
There's not something specific that I go to, but there was a specific verse that helped me on like a really, really dark night. It was actually 1 John 1:9, where it talks about, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And I was dealing with, God's not going to forgive me, I'm doomed. And then I found that. So.
With what you've gone through, do you believe you'll be able to help other teenagers get through those? There's a lot of there's a lot of teens out there that are living in that darkness.
Yeah, I hope I can. I really want to.
What would you say to them? I mean, have you run across kids like that? Have a chance to meet kids like that who were in those dark areas? Like with,
their parents being drug addicts or like OCD in general?
Well, not only that, but just, they're in that depressed, some of them we see so often now. We've seen the suicide rate, especially amongst teens, skyrocket. Obviously, there's a lot of kids without a lot of hope out there. what do you say to them, or what can you say to them?
That's a really hard situation, but I have come across some of those people. My friend actually told me that I was the one that has saved him multiple times from committing suicide. The only thing I really can say is there's hope, and God still loves you. And even though my friend he's not like an atheist, but he's like agnostic. I don't know. He just said that I've saved him multiple times. So yeah, there's a lot of people that I deal with that are, dealing with that stuff, and I try to be there for them.
Yeah, it's got to be difficult though, I'm sure, with, because like you said, everybody's different. So they're all dealing with different issues.
Yeah.
Well, what, it'd be interesting to ask you, maybe interview you 10 years from now and do this all again and see where you are.
That'd be nice. An anniversary type thing.
Exactly. Now, for those people who are listening on the podcast and not watching this on YouTube, behind you, I'm assuming you're in your bedroom, but I see a bunch of, looks like things on the wall. What are those on the wall?
Those are actually pictures from calendars with Bible verses on them. I wanted to have like a little Bible wall. So,
okay. Will you take that to college with you?
Probably.
All right. Well, so what I ask you what verse you went to when you were in a dark time. Do you have a favorite verse in the Bible?
I think that is my top one.
Okay. Would you suggest to the teenagers out there listening to turn towards Jesus? Oh yeah.
Jesus is the one that's saved me not only from other people, but he saved me from myself multiple times. He pulled me out of dark places where something dangerous could have happened. And it almost happened. So there's a lot of hope in him.
Thank you for tuning in to God's Table Talk. You can listen to the podcast on these 7 platforms: Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Breaker. Don't listen to podcasts? You can find us on YouTube as well with full interview footage. All you have to do is search God's Table Talk. Want to share your testimony? Send us an email at info.godstabletalk@gmail.com to schedule your interview. That's info.godstabletalk@gmail.com. At God's Table Talk, we hope you will be blessed, but most importantly, that you will be a blessing.